during the presentation. Welcome for this EAM talk. We show today 3 aspects, at least, for how we can get started with enterprise architecture management. And I have to see what's going on. By the way, we'd like to record, if anybody is okay with this, we'd like to record this conversation and this webinar. So maybe, Salome, please, you can start this recording, and I'm still struggling with presentation, but it's on, I see. So. But I can't skip the slides. Huh? That's my problem. So I have to try once again, jumping out and in. I'm back soon. So it's just for delay. Okay, so now I understand. So welcome again. My name is Thomas Schönherr from Sparks. We have 2 guests that are presenting. We plan to have 3 guests, but Oshoya Nemeth is unfortunately in hospital with her father. We wish her all the best, but she cannot be with us this afternoon. And we have, as planned, Jacek with us from as business solution architect, and Nisam, of course, from Prolaborate from Sixforce, India. So you saw these people in the invitation. You maybe have looked up what they are doing. They will introduce themselves and what they are doing in the presentations themselves. Yeah. Who is Sparks? Anyway, you hopefully know the tool, and you know the tool Enterprise Architect very well, as we have globally over 850,000 users and licenses all over the world in action. If you see, it's an Australian product, and we have, as Sparks Central Europe, based in Vienna, and entities in Switzerland and Estonia. We are for Central Europe customers, but there's also, of course, Spark Systems India and entities in Japan and North America and South America. So it's really a global network, yeah, a global network of users, a global network, a global environment. Yeah. That maybe you already know. What's next is we talking about enterprise architecture management. Maybe you can imagine it's architecture as it is within a house. Yeah, you all have these rooms. You have all these capabilities in your own companies, such as business architecture, information application architecture, and of course technology and infrastructure. And of course you have a business management all above on the roof for control and risk management. Yeah, that's just to show up these dimensions where we are going to show how we can act with Prolaborate to manage these dimensions. Yeah, and the key is, of course, multi-dimensionality. That should be clear for all participants. Yeah. And what could be one approach? We could think about modeling. If we have the approach of modeling, we need frameworks. Yeah, we just show one road to get work done, work started for minimal viable products. For example, with LabNav or Reframe, that's the two frameworks we support from Spark's Central Europe. And if you stand at the very beginning, yeah, you have first, maybe you have an as-is evaluation of your enterprise to make it visible. Yeah, of course you have documentation and you have a history of your enterprise. Everyone has that, but you have to look up and make an as-is evaluation to start anyhow. Yeah, maybe then you have to define and execute a strategy. What do you want to achieve within these starting points? Yeah. You have to have this definition to have a clear vision. Yeah. Then, of course, this architectural work, if you decide to do it with enterprise architecture, you have to define what work and who should execute that. Then you could think about an to-be architecture. You start even mostly you start about thinking the as-is enterprise architecture is not ready for the future, and you need a to-be architecture of your company to succeed. Yeah, that should be one clear point at the start. So then, of course, you have to start to govern your implementation. Who is doing it, on which governmental status this will be executed, and then you get a new updated as-is architecture within these points from the to-be architecture. Then you restart very often to define and execute the next strategy for the next level. Yeah. So this should be clear. And if it comes to Prolaborate, what does it do? What does it help? Prolaborate, of course, will help you to bring the information out of your models. It is, first of all, maybe you start with practice talks and project plans as in every project. Yeah. And on the second stage, you will find you have to simplify models, because the information for management out of the model is a really challenge. Yeah, and Prolaborate will help to be able to bring information that's in the model into dashboards, into readable information. Yeah, and all about it's all about simplifying the complexity. Because all you can have large repositories with enterprise architecture models. It's to simplify and to see what the information is really on the point. We have 5 points. Go to the next. You can even automate these information output. That's a really achievement. Big achievement, because if you have all your evaluation stuff on your own and your teams, it's a clever idea to have it automated. Yeah, and it's then integrated one day, not at the beginning, but one day you see you have the reportings, you have the dashboards, and you have more information at the hand. Yeah, and then of course with having that information you can make better decisions. It's one way to start with Prolaborate, and Jacek, of course, will show us how they did implement it in their organization, and that's the way. The first the first words from my side, and I will hand over to Jacek. I hope he can take the screen. I don't know really now how to finish it. I'm stuck a little bit here. Yeah, I think I could finish it. And Jacek, so please, you can take over.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Thomas. Welcome, everyone. I'll try to show my screen. Let me know if you see my content.
Yes, we do. Yeah, perfect. Great. Thank you. Perfect. Thank you.
So, welcome. I'd like to invite you on a short journey with my experience and tell you a story why enterprise architecture sometimes fail. I find out that the work with your business stakeholders can be real easy and really effective if you use right tools. So the subtitle is Prolaborate makes a difference, and it really does. Who am I? I'm business solution architect. At present, we are part of the huge company, which is ERGO. We are struggle with some technical and services issues on the market, on the insurance companies, and this is our main responsibility. But experience that I will share with you today are more out of this company and of this huge approach. This is the story about how I am struggle with these issues in my day-by-day activities, not only in ERGO, but in the worldwide support that I am trying to provide. I'm an enthusiast of enterprise architect usage. I am using enterprise since version, I guess, 6.0. So it was pretty young version of enterprise. It has been a lot of change during these years. As you probably know, this tool evolved in direction to be more business useful, but it's still pretty sophisticated. In this case, I was discovered the Prolaborate, which was for me a real game changer, and angels are singing and sky is open. Now the sky is the limit for me, because I'm able to do everything, almost everything I want. Based on this experience, I set up the startup, which I called One Repo. This is related to Tolkien trilogy, One Repo to rule all. You will find more, let's say, comments and words coming from this trilogy later on in my presentation. Based on this experience, I provide in Polish market the Enterprise Architect User Group Poland. This is the branch of the user group led by Jacek Mitchell and Ian Mitchell. And finally, we have, at present, we have almost over 600 participants in this group. So it's pretty huge. The agenda of my presentation is, first of all, we try to find out why this enterprise architecture fails. As you see here, we have the Simon Sinek golden circle. Why, how, and finally, what? So I try to embed my presentation in this golden circle. So at the next step, I will try to share with you my challenges and experiences that I collect upon my all the career. And I guess the main and the crucial thing is the viewpoint. Viewpoint is the key for everything in the communication issues. So I will show you how I am managing this issue on my own. Next, collect and work with information each time. This is good advice to all of us, to collect as much information as you can, but there is the opposite advice, less is more. So we need to divide which information are crucial and are important, and what information collection is a waste of time. So I'll try to emphasize this as well. And finally, if we are in this agile world, agile mindset, we need to use it repeatedly. So the snowball effect with right tools and techniques is the most important, most crucial thing to make this whole machine work fine. So here are the question: how to collaborate with people from different galaxies? This is the question why. Why this EA fails, why this communication fails, and why we are not succeed in these areas. On many presentations, I have seen the bubble tower that tells that we are from different galaxies, we are from different nations, and it's hard to communicate. Business, managers, IT, users, this is extremely different languages. And this is I guess, the first and the most crucial thing that need to be managed to make enterprise architecture live. Bad news, this is not only tower that we need to bring down. Second tower, this is the relation to the Tolkien, two towers. The second one is the ivory tower that is occupied by architects. This word is pretty sophisticated. It's we are using pretty complex and fancy words, fancy tools that are not so easy to understood by the business, by the rest of the company. And in my opinion, this is the main problem that we are struggling with, to make this enterprise alive and make it present on each step of the evolution, from the strategy level through the enterprise architecture description divided by the domains, finally to the development and implementation phases on the projects. So the challenges that I found in my career, I tried to list here. And first of all, communication with many people from different domains. This is really huge challenge because of the accessibility, openness, open-minded, and any other characteristics of these people. It's really hard to communicate them with each other and to enable this information flow. Second is collection of information. This is the huge challenge for me because I found that most of people are using different tools. Business loves to use Excel. IT guys love Jira and Confluence. I really don't get why. Managers are using different tools like Microsoft PowerPoint or something like that. Sometimes it's Jira, sometimes it's... So this family of these tools is extremely wide, and it's hard to combine this information together. Another thing is understanding and noticing the obvious. Each side of this communication flow assuming some obviousness. For example, if we talk about insurance, business processes for corpo and for the mass market are extremely different. But in each step of this process, we have the step which is called underwriting. Underwriting for corpo is different than for the mass market. But from the perspective of IT, this is still underwriting. And here arise a lot of misunderstanding that leads us to mistakes and to the failures. So this clarity of this information is crucial. As I mentioned before, combination of all its information is really challenging. And if you have so many tools, combine this information together and set some interesting viewpoints in an attractive shape is really a challenge. And again, I saw a lot of solutions, Adonis, Metastone Provision, iGraphics, and so on, a lot of tools that allows us to go to the one step, and we have in some part of the project we stuck because we get to the wall and there was no opportunity to go further. In this world which I'm working with at present, I am very flexible and I am able to do almost everything I want. Engaging people to work together, it's another challenge because people are busy, especially in nowadays where we have a lot of activities and things to be done. It's hard to engage people, and people have only a few minutes to focus on our problem, our subject, and give us the feedback. So we need to adjust tool to not engage people too much. Dealing with difficult subjects with simple techniques. As we all know, the management of the enterprise architecture, this is not so easy challenge, and there is a lot of information that need to be collected, that need to be combined. These building blocks, in meaning of TOGAF, are very spread by different domains. So collecting this information together and make based on them this interesting viewpoints, this is another challenge. The next thing is the providing access to the information with minimum effort. The worst thing that we can do is to ask people business to install on their computers Enterprise Architect. Only easy access made by the web browser give you a chance to get from these guys some engagement and focus their consciousness on some awareness on some particular subject and get some feedback, which is the main crucial thing in this challenge of managing and running enterprise architecture. I tried two approaches. This is the examples. I take a part in the project. I participate in the project, which was run at the beginning in the classic ordinary way when we have the meeting. This meeting took 3 hours. We have met 5 times. It was talking. What was the impression after these meetings? We just elaborate only a draft of an idea. It was not conclusion. This is only draft, some imagination what we are really struggling with. All information was stored in Excel sheet. Some information was in Jira because we are running some projects, so we have to be agile. So we are using these agile tools. But the impression was we are still on the beginning of the project. Impression of being dizzy was present on each meeting. It leads us to a passive position of many participants, and it really happens that some guys have left conscious and their awareness won on the level 0. What I have done? First of all, I tried to engage business to work with me. Our first task was to draw. Of course, I am an architect and analyst, so I am modeling. But from perspective business, we are only drawing the business process diagram from the scratch. We start from the beginning. All information we tried to put on the right place. We took approach with this multidimensional level model. So it was the dedicated place for the business information, for the data which are collected and provided during this process. Then we are trying to find which IT applications, which systems can support this business process, and we name it and put this information to the right place. What is the place? I will show you later on. So we have provided the good understanding of context by everyone, because everyone was an author and owner of this model and this information. Awareness of what should be done to improve was present, and everyone was aware what I am doing on this meeting, what I am responsible for. So this is the approach, using some tools versus using right tools. What has changed with my presence in this project? First of all, we start asking right questions. So we start from the top. What is mission of this initiative? What is mission of this company? What is our driver? What forces us to acting, to do something? What we are struggling with? What are the real challenges, real issues, real problems? What data we are dealing with? What kind of data we need to run this process properly, and what kind of data will be produced based on this process? Finally, what can support us with this process realization? What is at present, what it can be in the future? So process has been drawn, not only told like in this previous approach, which I showed here, we just draw it. Every participant of this project was present and have chance to speak, to tell us what is their reflection about this or that activity, data, application, flow, etc., etc. What is the organization structure, and so on. All information has been properly drawn. We are modelers, remember, so we model this information. So we put this information to the right boxes and we connect them using standard relation. I'm using Archimate, I'm using business process, modeling notation. I'm using UML and few other notations to make this model complete. But again, less is more. So I'm using only these objects and stereotypes that are for me useful. A good picture equals more than 1,000 words. So approach using Jira and Excel versus using some drawings and some pictures that are interactive. It's really game changer in this approach. So after all, we have done this whole process by 2 days. First day, we collect information based on modeling process. I only draw a draft of this process and I gave access to the business to fill this process with information that they are responsible for. Secondly, on the second day, we only confirmed this model. It was less than 2 hours to fill and use information that business provide for me in right boxes, and I expanded this model to make it complete. And at the end of the second day, we only focus on conclusions. So what is the outcome from this process analysis? It's pretty easy. I used the map, which contains the description of the draft of the process. We named the activities, and then I asked people from the business, guys, tell me what kind of data you are using, what you produce, what kind of system you are using at present. If there is some need to join it with Jira, with Confluence, there is no problem. We can share this information with minimum effort. Effort is almost zero. So if you have some guys which are orthodox in agile or any other approaches, there's a lot of possibilities to share this information via different channels. But let's focus on this approach. So I just gave in the web browser draft of the process, asked people, guys, give me information here, save it, and go home. After a while, we met again, and guys from the business, from the data departments, from the management, they have seen such a picture that is complete. We have here the business layer, we have here data layer, we have here application layer. Behind this, of course, can be another layer, technological one. We can, of course, embed this context to the strategy, to the value streams and so on, capabilities, whatever. All dimensions are available. This is only your imagination, what you should and what you want to use. And the reaction and the result of the business people was almost like this. They're happy like children. Oh my goodness, we only put here this information and we see a lot of this information here. What's more, we can navigate through this information so I can see what kind of application services supports business processes, not only this one, but any other that are connected to this service. So that's really loves work like this. This is after, believe me or not, but it took me 15 minutes to convince business to work in this approach. I gave them only the access to the web page where was drawn the process that I was drawing this process in Enterprise Architect, but I didn't show them what I'm doing. I only gave them the access to this particular diagram. And after 15 minutes, they work like with me like equal. There was no question where they should put some information because all information that was needed was put here. Yeah, in the easiest way it can be. Based on this approach, you can build every perspective you ever dream of. You can do application lifecycle management. You can use the Archimate viewpoints. My favorite is application usage viewpoint. So this is accessible by one click. You can use this approach to collect information about end of life of technology stack. So here you see a part of my dashboard that provides information about technologies and end of lives. And here, this information are combined with application components. This is extremely multidimensional approach. So if I click on the application, I see all the information that I want to see and my stakeholder wants to see to move this discussion forward, to enable this communication and to not struggle with the concern what is behind this information, what you're talking about. This is as simple as it can be and as it should be. Less paperwork. This is my main goal. Design your model with stakeholders. Do not force people to use huge amount of information that is collected in such shape in some papers, MS Word documents. I know guys who produce documents that takes 500 pages. This is not working really. This is a waste of time, your time and your stakeholders. So you can use some workshop techniques. It can be even non-formal techniques like even storming or something like that. But at the end of the day, you should use dedicated tools to collect this information and put it to the right place in the right format. As much as you can, my advice is to keep some standards, Archimate, BPMN, UML, whatever. But the standard makes some order. Ian says always, avoid using MML, biomodeling language. 100% agree. Then you should put this all information together in the right shape, share this information, collect feedback, and so on. Do it repeatedly because this enables information flow and communication between different domains, different people. Each stakeholder should find information he needs in understandable shape and expected range. For me, this is the curse to looking for information that I need to find, and I need to go through the thousands of pages, some Word documents, to find only 3 information about, for example, about integration or the connection between business process and the application component. It's horrible. But sometimes it took me 20 hours to find out this information. So let's try to avoid making such a work. Let's not force our customers, our stakeholders, to climb on such a mountains. I'm sick of using this MS Word, Excel sheets. I'm sick of asking people where I can find information that I'm looking for. Very often I have found the problem with access to the information in SharePoint because someone has not gave me the privileges to read some information because he does not know that I'm interested in to find out what is going on in this business process or part of the application or this domain. So yeah, this is very often when we have struggled with such basic problems. What makes me really sick is hearing sentence, business does not understand what is this yellow color box with arrow. I mean the business process in Archimate. That's not true. It took me 5 minutes to teach my business guys all notations from business domain in Archimate. Really, 5 minutes. So this is not true. This is the myth. Opinion that enterprise architected is sophisticated tool and no one can learn it himself. Again, it's not true. Enterprise is really sophisticated and pretty complex. But if you combine this tool with any other, or if you adjust interface of enterprise to the right perspective, which is, as you know, this is no challenge, it now, in this case, it starts to work. And finally, this is what I had already, Jira rocks and Confluence either. It's not true. And I will try to show a short demo which show you that these guys are mistaken. This is my Prolaborate site. I will log in again. This is first of the dashboard that is based on such information. I was used the capability as a grouping element for the applications. So I have groups of applications and these applications are connected to the business processes. In this shape, this information is not so easy to understood by the business, but the same information I can provide this way. So I just built landscape, and again, it took me less than a minute to put this information in this shape. I have capability. Now I can ask what kind of applications are infected by this capability. What is the group of the information of the application that are connected with capability? And here I can find information, what kind of business processes that application can support. Yeah, so this is this multidimensional viewpoint that allows me to understand what are the relations, what are the dependencies. Again, I can look at this view where I showed you on the presentation. This is life cycle dashboard that shows me technologies with the dates when they expire, and behind this information I can go or from here and I can see what kind of applications are infected by this technology. Unfortunately, this one is not connected. Sorry. Let's choose the connected one. Maybe I will go this way. So I can click on the application, and at 1 second, I will see technology usage. So I see the connection to the technology stack. Of course, behind this component, I have a lot of information about the traceability, which is the main technique to combine this catalogs of information together. But from the perspective of end of life, for me, interesting is only technology stack, which is here. Of course, I can set up the date of the expiry of the application, as I can do the same for the technology. On the attributes, I can put start date and end date for the technology support by the provider. So this is how easy it can be if you have well-considered, well-designed metamodel of your information. Of course, all need to be fit to the organization challenges that this organization struggle with, but building such an approach takes maybe less than a month to consider which information will be useful and which one I can left behind, because they do not build the value for my organization. So only creating metamodel, building such a viewpoints that allows you to navigate through the all information. Here is the dashboard that shows you dependencies between functional requirements and use cases. Whatever you want to see is just on click available to be accessed by stakeholder. You need only ask, guys, what kind of information you want to see, in what shape, in what range. And this is it. Configuration of this approach takes really, this is only minutes to provide such approach. And this is why I'm succeed, because on the meeting, I just prepared for the business a list of attributes for the business process that this business guys want to see and nothing else. And they are really impressed about how fast this configuration take place and how fast they can access to the information that from the distance seems to be pretty hard to understand, to be managed. But using right tools, this is only a minute to get this people engaged to this process and work together and run the project. So my answer to this question, this is the Prolaborate. This is the solution for the most of challenges that arise if you're using case tools such as enterprise architect or something like this, and when you are struggling with the collecting and sharing knowledge, the information with the people. My environment looks like this. I'm, of course, as an architect and analyst, I'm using enterprise as a main tool for modeling purposes. I have a few guys that loves to use this legacy approach with Word documentation, so there is no problem. Based on knowledge base which is stored here, I can collect this information and produce the EA docs using EA docs documents in my company's shape of documentation with my logo, with all this stuff that is needed to be provided, but the all content comes from here. Of course, we are using Jira. Why? Because this is some tool that measures time in the project. So my advice is use Jira only for the project purposes, because in this case, this tool works perfect. I have seen a lot of tries to use Jira as a case tool, and these projects are failed. This is not working really. Of course, you can use Confluence. Having this solution, you can use Confluence, but from my perspective, this is waste of time, because the heart of this whole environment for me is Prolaborate. This is a real game changer. It changes almost everything in my approach. Projects that or information that I have been collecting by months, now I am able to get from my stakeholders in days. So this is 2 units of time that I decrease the period of collection of information and gathering feedback if my understanding of the problem and my proposition of solution is correct or not. It really takes me days. Okay, just in case, some takeaway from my side: use right and dedicated tools for the particular purposes. In my case, approach with the Prolaborate as a web access to the pretty sophisticated and hard to understood in different shape information base. It was a game changer for me. Build communication based on tools wisely. So this advice: less is more. Use only this information which really are crucial, which are accessible, which have some owner, and information that someone is waiting for. Different tools and approaches depending on the scale of the project. If for someone works Jira and yellow stickers on the wall, I'm fine with that. Okay, but my experience shows that even small projects can benefit from using Enterprise and Prolaborate. Do not lose your skills and good habits for modeling the world. Really, I see a lot of failures in projects nowadays because people stop using the modeling techniques. They're trying to move projects using only task approach. It's not working. In the small scale, for small projects, maybe it will. But if you lose your basic competence, maybe your main developer will quit. You will lose all your knowledge, and you start from the scratch from the beginning. So this knowledge base is really important to make this consistent and to make your project run in the future. Adjustments should be embedded in the process delivery of the solution. Each retrospective meeting should be focused on what have been done correctly or not. But one of this discussion should be if the analyst tool, if the case tool, if the Prolaborate works fine. If not, we should correct it, not avoid using, because this is not agile tool. It's not a true. Agile is a mindset, not a tool. So again, Jira, Confluence, Prolaborate, Enterprise, this is only tools. They can be used in the agile manner and in the classical approach. Both will be, let's say, efficient, but the crucial is the mindset. If you think in agile way, you will be agile. So just try to avoid avalanche versus snowball effect. Each meeting, each contact with people that have some interesting information should be chance, and should be result of this meeting should be some information put it to the right place in your model. In this case, it will work, And this is my idea how to ensure that your enterprise architecture approach and your enterprise architecture management have chance to be successful. Yeah, so this is the part from me. I give a hand to the Nizam, which tells about Prolaborate. I hope very, very interesting and more interesting things that I have been told. So thank you very much. If you have any questions, I don't know, Thomas, we have this questions part at the end of this meeting or now?
Yes, Jacek. I suppose we have to collect questions at the end. Thank you very much for your interesting experience and to show how visualization of results can work. And that's really the thing to hand over to Nizam. We are running out of time, I'm afraid. Okay. But to see once again visualization of results would be important. And please, for the audience, type your questions in the chat. And if time really runs out, we can go and answer your questions afterwards. Yeah. But without a break, I guess, Nizam, you're ready to start. And it's your turn.
Yeah, thank you very much. Hello, everyone. Just I'll confirm by asking if you're able to see my screen.
Yes, we are.
Okay, thank you. See, I'm kind of startled because Jacek almost said everything that I wanted to say, and I'm clueless on what I'm going to speak. But what I'll try to do is, give an overview of the key use cases that drove the development of Prolaborate and still continues to drive it. And I thank you all for joining this once again. And I am Nizam. I'm a Sparks person for the last 15 years or so. I've been working with EA in different capacity, and I also incidentally happen to be the one of the person who designed the Prolaborate concept, and now I'm managing the product development of Prolaborate with Spark Systems. So without spending a lot of time on it, what I'm going to quickly introduce is what is the Sparks platform as it stands today, and what are the 4 use cases. And I'm going to keep it quick because I know we are sort of constrained by time. But this is to establish that the Spark Systems, which was renowned for its modeling tool for the last 20 years, has evolved itself into a complete architecture platform by adding the necessary components to leverage the model data from EA. Firstly, by integrating with various other enterprise tools, like Jacek mentioned, the Jiras and Confluences and SharePoints and ServiceNows and you name it, we are now able to integrate with all those tools because of the REST API that is offered by the ProCloud server. And then right on top of it, we have the Prolaborate, which leverages the data and the interfaces to provide a platform that simplifies, curates, personalizes, and drives collaboration and engagement by the stakeholders. So the objective is not to create anything new, but to make the most out of the data that is already modeled in Enterprise Architect or using Enterprise Architect. As a consultant myself, I know the kind of effort that we need to do to build a quality EA model. And more often than not, we find out that such an important piece of work goes wasted or not really to its potential because of the lack of tools to present it to the right stakeholders. And that's the driver that kind of initiated the idea of Prolaborate. And with that as a platform, we are now able to have a unified view of the model information and the various other aspects from the Jiras and Confluences as service now. So the idea is to have not everything in one tool, but to have a single source of truth by combining information from various tools. So that's a significant paradigm shift from what it was purported some 10 years back. So that's a big difference. There are a number of webinars that we have given to explain the use cases like application portfolio management, business capability maps creation using this platform, which shows how the entire stack works seamlessly to deliver such features. So if you are keen on exploring anything like that, you can please drop us a note and we will send you the links to it. And more, just to summarize the whole platform, we are now able to deliver the entire stack as a fully managed and hosted SaaS platform, which is also a game changer because especially during the COVID and post-COVID times, we've been seeing a lot of IT infrastructure maintenance being offloaded, and now Spark's platform is also available as a PaaS or a SaaS offering. So with that as an introduction, just to the platform, I just want to quickly talk about Prolaborate, but Jacek already mentioned a lot of these. So the focus is about simplifying, curating, dashboarding, collaboration, and workflows, and not about creating model. So creating model is the responsibility of the modelers who use EA, but this is for the non-EA people or the non-modeling community. And there are just 4 use cases that we believed in, that we saw as a repetitive pain point in every implementation that we did, and it's still driving our focus. And the 4 pain points are: how do we improve the focus of the people who want to look into our model? Most of the models are really large. How do we really make a selected part of the model shared to the respective audience? So that is our first use case. And if I push it a little further, what is the problem behind? Most of the models have loads of information in it. We have the like as Jacek again mentioned, there's the business, application information, technology, solution architecture, systems engineering. There's a whole raft of things that we can do using EA, and everything gets into the same repository to foster traceability, impact analysis, and things like that. But the problem is there are different teams, there are different roles, different personas who don't want to really get into the trenches and look at the entire model to find a small piece of information. Rather, Prolaborate will let you choose a part of a model and just present it to the respective teams. We will retain the traceability, we will retain that interconnections, but we will only pick and choose selected parts of the model. This was a pain point that we have seen repeatedly wherever we have tried to engage non-EA users. And to enable that, we have something called sections. This is the first step that we do for a Prolaborate configuration, is pick and choose the packages from your big fat EA repository, and that becomes the final project for the people whom we are creating such a view. And even more, we have granular access control to let people see, read, or write contents at a package level, at a diagram level, and even at an element level. So it's a very granular access control. So you could say, for example, there is some financial data that you have modeled, and you don't want the rest of the team to look at it. You just want a selected people to look at it. You can control it using access control so that people will not even see that. So with EA models, you could only make it visible or editable. You can't hide it unless you go with the row level securities and things like that. But in Prolaborate, because it's a non-EA community, we can really make it very simple to just present the selected contents to the selected audience. So that's a very important use case that we were working on as a first step. And the second thing is about simplifying the contents. So we have firstly chosen what we want to show. Secondly, how do we really simplify that? Because EA is, again, a standards-driven modeling environment, and it's done by the most smartest technical people or the architects, and they can't do it simple. Like, they can't keep it simple. They really want to have every possible detail covered in it. But when it goes to the non-EA community, it's going to be really hard for them to digest the amount of information that is coming out of the EA model. This, for example, is a simple business process diagram. And if someone wants to look at an attribute or a detail of an activity, this is what they have to do. They have to browse through a couple of packages, find the diagram, double click on it, open this dialog, browse through the 100 different tabs in it, and then figure out what they really want to see. That's not always a possibility when you have business stakeholders who have limited time to even look at the information that we are going to share with them. So what Prolaborate does is two things. One, you can go with a very super simplified dashboard that they look at. So when they log into the portal, they only see the diagrams that you want them to see. So everything else is totally hidden. And the good news is these are all live model contents. These are not published contents. These are not HTML pages. These are live model contents with all the traceability information, the what if analysis, anything that you would do in EA, you can do with this data because it's connected information. But we are giving them a very simplified portal to just look at the diagrams that they are after. And the second thing is even the details that you want to show to them can be customized. So this is a custom form designer for the same BPMN activity that I'm showing here with a million tagged values against it. You could design which details or what details out of this million tag values do you want your business users or the non-EA users to see. So what that means is if someone looks at a live EA diagram, clicks on an activity, he or she only gets to see what we wanted them to see. For example, the notes, maybe the cost and efforts and the applications connected to it and nothing else. So such simplification fosters better focus. This was also mentioned by Jacek and how he used this functionality to simplify a stakeholders requirements gathering exercise. And that's one of the focus areas for us as well. And you could use a myriad of options to selectively show whatever piece of detail that you want to share to the different stakeholders. So this is our second use case. Apologies, I am rushing a little in the interest of time. So if at all you have anything that you want to have more clarity on, please feel free to reach out to us. But I'm just being mindful of the time and moving a little faster. So the third use case that we are focusing on is the curation. So what is curation? Again, EA model is not a diagram. Like we all know, it's not a diagram. If you're only after diagrams, Visio is a far better tool. So EA is all about modeling, diagrams plus the details, plus the interconnections and all the traceability that we have. That's the model information. But now imagine I want to show to a non-EA user that if a project is going to be rolled out, these are the applications that will be impacted. And if those applications are impacted, these are the process steps that will be impacted. And these are the technology or the servers that needs to be taken into consideration. That's the information that this diagram conveys, maybe to you and me, but not to someone who is oblivious of such a complex diagram. So that is where these dashboards and visualizations comes into picture, like how even the previous session we saw. So what Prolaborate allows us to do is use the information, all the richness in the information, but customize your views for the respective personas or the stakeholders. So firstly, for example, let's say this is for a business process management team. All they need to do is a view of the applications in my repository, a high-level business process and a detailed business process, and maybe all the discussions around it. So this dashboard just gives them the curated information in their level of detail. And the secondly, let's say an application with all the tagged values. These are all really useful, but only when you present it in a real-time interactive reports that people could use to slice and dice it. So if these are interactive real-time charts in Prolaborate that people could click and drill through to find the information. So if someone wants to look at the web-based application that is of low criticality, they just click on this bar and it will show them the two applications that matches that criteria. So instead of browsing through a really big fat model finding the application that they are after, they could just click and find the information that they want. Similarly, requirements, like, you have all the details in EA, the traceability, the tagged values, but it will be meaningful only when we really present it in a dashboard that kind of is relatable by the non-EA users. And this dashboard is a BA's dashboard where I've just taken the requirements and use cases corresponding to a phase or a sprint. And I've even got the Jira integration working here to show them all the defects that are raised by Jira. Everything is live, no storing information and things like that. But this dashboard will give a really good entry point for a non-EA business analyst to look at this information and also make sense of it. So that's our third use case, like, really driving engagement using dashboards and reports and charts in multiple ways. Again, Jacek has gone through this in detail, so I'm sort of moving through it. Like the same visualization was illustrated in the previous session on how this could be really a tool for anyone to click and see the information that they are interested in. So that and we also have the road maps and bubble charts, like, the most famous Gartner's the application quadrant. We can create it using the Prolaborate charts and EA data. So such powerful visualizations backed by the EA model information makes a huge difference. And the last use case that I would like to touch upon is about engagement. So we have prepared the model, we have reduced the complexity, we have curated it, and now what? We need to really invite the people to look at what we have done and give us the feedback and participate in the conversation. And that's something that Prolaborate really started with. The name Prolaborate comes from professional collaboration. So that's the first and foremost thing that Prolaborate was designed for. And again, the tower syndrome that Jacek also mentioned, so I'm not going to repeat them, but the whole idea is to make it an iterative process where the enterprise architects and the solutioning team also works with the non-IT team with a recursive feedback loop, so that the models are continuously evolving. So that is what Prolaborate intends to do. And how does it do it? We have a really modern contemporary collaboration platform built on top of EA. So, people who are used to the Yammers and LinkedIns of the world, now the social media platforms of the world, we have tried to get such an user experience for the EA community as well. So you could tag users, you could add a discussion against an element, you could tag other resources. So you get email notifications, in-app notifications. You get you get, when you pop up, you have dashboards which shows all the recent discussions. You have your wall also, you have the feeds section, which is synonymous to your wall. So you have a variety of things that we have built in Prolaborate on top of your EA model. That's the key here. It's not a standalone discussion or a chat window. It's a thing that is embedded on top of your EA model information, so you can refer it in all these conversations, and everyone who is involved in it will get notifications. So that collaboration has been built seamlessly on top of it. And even more, you could just invite anyone else who is not even in the team to participate in the discussion by just dropping them an email. And if you drop them an email, and if they have access to your Prolaborate server or the address where the Prolaborate is set up, they'll be automatically added as a collaborator to that one particular diagram. So it's been made really simple to engage someone to come and participate. Just you could get a link and share it to anyone over an email. They could click on the link and they will see a live view of the diagram. So that's the collaboration part. And the collaboration can't happen without a structured workflow on top of it as well, if you want to make it more formal and systematic. And that's where our model reviews comes into picture. So what's a model review? In conventional way, we used to do your EA models, and then we need to publish it into a Word or a PDF, and then we need to send it out in emails, and then we will be waiting for their replies to get the feedback, we may be maintaining Excel spreadsheets with items which are open and closed, and then we need to modify the model once again and repeat this. And it's a really time consuming process. But what we have done now is a way to create a custom review workflow on top of your EA model, where you could select the start date, end date, and also make some tweaks to the way the workflow is expected to behave. And then you'll be able to just set up a review and invite people and send them out. And once you send them out, send the invitation out, everyone who visits the portal will be notified, reminded to participate in the review. So it's not just about sending an email, it's about making them participate in it. So we have the reminders, we have the emails that is sent out to make them give their feedback at the right time. So this is the reviewers dashboard, which shows them, hey, there are 4 items waiting for your review. There's 15 days left, and this is what others have done. So it also gives them a transparent way to see what other reviewers have done. Why is this important? It's more often than not, we get duplicate comments, duplicate feedback. So such things are also eliminated with a transparent reviewing mechanism. So this is all built on top of EA, and it's just a quick video to show how I'm setting up a review. It's as easy as browsing through the model contents, adding them, and then just picking and choosing users and publishing it. So that's as simple as that. And the last thing that I want to show is to make this whole experience complete, we have also enabled such discussions back in EA as well. We don't merge these discussions with the EA discussions. It's a very different thing at the moment, but we have a Prolaborate utility within EA, so even the modelers get the alerts and notifications, and they can even see what's happening around within the enterprise architectic client itself. So that kind of summarizes the 4 use cases that I wanted to talk about. And if you want to take a look at this in more detail, or if you want to take a trial or something like that, please feel free to drop us a note, and our team will be more than happy to assist. Once again, I apologize. I did skim through a few slides very quickly in the interest of time, but I just want to make sure people are given the right time to ask questions or have a discussion. So that's it from my side. Thank you.
Very well done, Nizam. Thank you very much. And really almost at speed of light. Huh? It's thank you for that. I haven't seen now many questions in the chat, but we will have questions, or maybe one suggestion from my side. How would it be, Jacek and Nizam, if you play some kind of table tennis Q&As that you think should be recommended by audience if they want to start such a project using Prolaborate? Would that be an idea? Or if anyone in the audience, open your microphone and ask. One is always the first. Yeah. But if you better want to listen, we close the recording. Yeah, that's one thing. Nobody has to fear that the question goes public. So Salme, maybe you close the recording, and then we try a conversation on having the conclusion of this 2 hours, 1.5 an hour. It's all about, I think, visualization of information and results. Yeah, that's maybe one of the key sentences Nizam pointed out, and even Jacek. So maybe if you wouldn't know, Jacek, if you